We've talked about some midwives and a mother who refused to allow evil, who fought against the edict of the king. And now we're going to talk about a daughter who also refused to obey the king. In Exodus 2, it tells us that Pharaoh's daughter, who would be a princess, goes to the river to bathe. She has her entourage with her. And as she goes down to the river, she sees an ark, which is a little boat, and she's curious. And so she sends her maids after it. The princess isn't stupid. She obviously is not going to go into a crocodile-infested river without having other people making sure there's no crocodiles to attack her. And she's not going to go into the bulrushes herself. She's going to send somebody else. So she's pretty smart. So she sends her maids to collect it. And when they bring it back, it says in Exodus 2:6 that she opened it and she saw the child, and the baby cried, and she had compassion on it. And she knew it was a Hebrew child. She knew it was a Hebrew child, and her father was having him killed. So she apparently put two and two together and realized that the mom is trying to find a new home for the baby. So while she's admiring the baby and realizes how beautiful it is, this girl comes up, 12-year-old girl that we know is Miriam. If you're going to keep that baby, I can find a nurse for you and help you out. And so I doubt if the princess was fooled, and I would suspect that she probably recognized that this would have been related to the baby and that the nurse was probably the baby's mom. But what she does next at the end of this little vignette is, I think, pretty telling as far as her personality and character. Is she paid. It says she gave her wages. She hired Jochebed to take care of the baby and to nurse the baby until the baby was weaned. But she also agreed to pay her some wages for doing it. Jochebed would have been a slave, part of the Hebrews, and this was literally royalty. And she said, I'm going to pay you for taking care of this. And that to me indicates a heart that is compassionate and kind. I have this vision in my mind that she went home that day to the palace and said, hey, Dad, you know those Hebrew boys you're killing? Well, you got one as your new grandson. I don't know how the Pharaoh took it, but we do know that Moses did come to the palace and was raised in Pharaoh's court. Whether or not he was a favorite of Pharaoh, we don't know, but he was raised as Pharaoh's grandson and was raised as part of royalty. I'd like to think the actions of this particular princess made a difference. And all these women, I think their actions obviously made a difference, but I would like to think that she finally convinced her father that this was not a good plan. I walk away from it thinking of this princess as being someone who also defied evil. The evil her father was doing, she basically said, I'm not going to allow that. I'm not going to turn my head and ignore it. I'm going to start doing something about it. And she had compassion. We know that the Bible says she was compassionate. And the fact that she helped Jochebed and paid her for doing what she would have done probably voluntarily, I think shows a kindness that that was also there. It reminds me that anyone can be righteous. We have Hebrew women and Egyptian women that both fought against this evil that the king had decided to try to do. And they did it in different ways. Ultimately, that practice did continue. What else happened, we don't know, but we know that these three groups of women did something. Of course, we know that God had a hand in all this, made a difference in all their lives.